Hey everybody, this is Jason with Modeling Pros, and it is time to put some paint on this plane. So I want to kind of give you a rundown of what I'm going to do. The place where I do my airbrushing is not very conducive for video making, so I'm not really going to be able to show you that process at all, but I'm going to kind of go over in advance what I'm going to do, and then I'll go do it and come back on the camera and kind of show it to you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the bottom of the plane. Now, a couple things that I want to tell you about that before I go do it. First of all, you'll notice that the rear stabilizers are not currently on the plane. The reason for that is pretty simple. The whole top of the plane is going to be olive drab, and the bottom of the plane is going to be neutral gray. If I had the rear stabilizers already mounted on the plane, the olive drab is going to come down to about here, but the bottom of the stabilizer is going to be the gray color. So you can imagine if I'm trying to paint this gray while I've already got this green, or if I'm trying to paint this green while I've already got this gray, I'm gonna have to do taping, and don't really need to do that whenever I can just leave it off of the plane, paint it separately, and then mount it on there later. In addition to that, if you look here, you'll see there are places where there are going to be some flaps. Here is one of the flaps right here. I could go ahead and put that on the plane before I paint it, but the reason I don't want to do that is because this is ultimately going to get painted a different color, and this is ultimately going to get painted a different color. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this off the plane. I'm going to paint the bottom of the plane the neutral gray. Then I'll just do some taping around this flap and paint it the color that it's going to be, which is sort of a beige-ish color. I'll paint this, the bottom side tonight in the neutral gray, the other side sometime later in the beige color. And then once all the painting's done, that's when I'll mount it in place. Same way with the other one that's going to ultimately go over here. So let's talk about the paint. I haven't worked extensively with acrylics, so I'm branching out and I'm going to be doing some. So tonight what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this Testors Model Masters acrylic in neutral gray. I'm not sure. Let me see if you can read that. I think you can. Neutral gray. I've put a sticker on there that says neutral gray. Anyway, that's going to be the color of the bottom of the plane. Now, as with most, not all, but most paints, when they go in the airbrush, they're usually going to have to be thinned some. I haven't worked a lot with acrylics, so I guess I'm going to be doing some experimenting tonight. I've read that they can be thinned with water, but they can also be thinned with acrylic paint thinner. And so what I have here is some Tamiya brand X20A, which is an acrylic thinner. I have put some of that in a dropper bottle that I keep down by my airbrush. And so when I get ready to fill my airbrush, I will put a little bit of this in the airbrush, and then the rest will be this neutral gray. I don't know what the ratio is going to be yet because I've never really sprayed with acrylics. Well, I have, but very little. So, you know, probably a 30-70 or somewhere in that range would be my guess is what's going to work well, but I really don't know. We'll find out. So I'm going to go get the paint on this, on the bottom of this plane and on various parts that will ultimately be mounted onto the bottom of the plane, and then when it's done I'll come back and you can and I'll show it to you.